The China Effect on Africa's Historical Justice Movement.
Where right now we're kind of in a transition to a kind of a multipolarity, where countries that were hitherto not so preeminent are preeminent, and they're preeminent in their outspokenness about colonial deeds. One elephant in the room here is China in Africa. So there is this scramble, which again, I'm saying this to be optimistic for the African perspective, because everyone is vying to be on the right side with the Africans, because the Chinese are doing some heavy things on the continent that involve, there might be debate about other things, but essentially, there is a lot of attention that has been given to the China-Africa relations. And so it's a right moment for the Africans to kind of use some of these things for their benefit, to say, well, if you want to be better than the Chinese, or as you'd like to be, you need to give us this and that. So there's a global perspective and global forces that are even not of the making of the Africans themselves, but by being smart about how they conduct the negotiations, the Africans can take advantage of these global movements that are taking place.
Okay, so here's my final question for all of you, and we'll do a quick round robin on this. This conversation, of course, is really about accountability. Now, if African nations are to hold Western powers accountable for atrocities committed in Africa in the past, what about today and what about the future? Can we then expect reparations from African leaders and governments who commit atrocities today and from here on forward in their own countries against their own people? I mean, is this going to be what the reparations debate of the future will look like?
If we make a distinction between the international level of reparations, which we have kind of been seized with, but then there's this intranational level of reparations. And then we make a second distinction between reparations, a program with policy, ongoing, comprehensive, legal, it's measurable, and so on and so forth. But these acts of reparations that take place amongst people, Africans are a forgiving people in general, if I may generalize. There have been acts of reparations going on in Rwanda, Gacaca, and so on and so forth, in South Africa, and so on and so forth, where people just said, look, right now I'm seized with getting a house, living my life, and having my children have school uniform. Hence the importance of leadership. When people are seized with the exigencies of living a normal modern life, leaders must take hold of the affairs of the state. So I would say, yeah, the present is optimistic. The present is here. And if the African governments themselves look at their laws and say, well, which part of this South African law is kind of, it was grandfathered in, if I may, from the apartheid era, and it has led us massacring some miners in 2012 in Marikana, and then no one has ever gone to jail for that. Is there reparations? And I would say yes. So I wouldn't even put it as an issue of the future. It's already happening from some aspects, organic, youth-driven, and lateral across the social media space. And it takes notes from America, from German youth, and from Sweden, and so on and so forth. And I'm optimistic about it. Thank you.
I think this is a key point that was just raised in terms of, grandfathering of laws, colonial echoes in today's African body policy.